Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Laura at Hyperstamper, and I have the last of the journals for this week, the week of August 14th. And this was one, I've had a couple of this cover. I had a few of these old journals. So this is from 1926, this one. And this one was actually school workbook. You can see down here it says student's name. And this was bookkeeping and accounting, financial statements. And it's actually on a 1938, I want to say, book called Elements of Electrical Engineering, which had an extremely boring cover. So I just covered it up with something a little more interesting and added some vintage doilies and crocheting. A little tie here with gauze tied up. And this is the original inside of that engineering book. And this is a remnant of when I cut down the original cover here. So the leftover, I just made into a pocket. I don't like to waste anything. Sorry, it was 1935, Elements of Electronic Engineering. And a 1950s bingo card, which are always super popular. The original first pages of the book, and everything in here, of course, is authentic, antique, and vintage ephemera, except for these tea-dye pages, which I hand stamped just to make them pretty. This is from the American Garden, from the mid-century. And this one here is a beautiful mountain valley scene, little village, working village inside the mountain valley. And that is from Alberta, Canada, Banff, very famous place and beautiful place. And that's from 1910 to 1920. And this is a 1950s, late 1950s women's magazine for the Olympic Games. And they're holding the laurel leaves, which I think is really wonderful. And then on the back are these wonderful advertisements for making your own jewelry and knitting. So lots of good stuff here. Very, very colorful and pretty. You can use that for so many things. I've got a wonderful cluster here with a vintage USA stamp. And I've got this journaling tag here that has a vintage sewing pattern tissue. And then this came from that lovely 1950s Abraham Lincoln souvenir book. And this is Springfield here, just the downtown Springfield. And look at the awesome imagery there. And I love the color. And that's all mounted on top of a 1945 dictionary page. And a nice blank antique book page here. And here's another wonderful plate from that Polish book I've been using this week. This is a Polish book about embroidery and decoration of folk costume. I had it translated. And that's from 1956, but look at these plates in here. I was so excited when I found this book in a vintage store, like a secondhand store actually. Yeah, so I have this lovely plate here. And then this is from Chez Nous, a 1920s book. And this page here is from 1901. You can see there. And it's just lovely, and you open it up and there's a nice blank space back here. And I turned it into a pocket and put a 1926 ledger page in there. And again, mounted on top of that lovely 1945 dictionary page. I love the natural aging color. That's one of my favorite aged colors there. Just a fun little advertisement I found with roses, painting on china. And an antique book page here that I put a tag inside of that I made with all my scraps. And I love this little bit of inside signature seams and netting. And that came from the 1928 Billboard magazine, which has the best advertisements in it for vaudeville and dancers and comedians, and it's wonderful. And again, this is another piece of the cover. It was obviously not in the best of shape originally, so I wanted to keep it anyways, but just because it's so beautiful. So it's just eye candy in there. And it's mounted on the back of this really thick, pretty children's book page. And then in the center here, I have that wonderful ledger page from 1926. And here is a French book page, antique book, that I made into a journaling envelope there. And there's a little vintage stamp down here. Isn't that pretty? And that is German. And then I have this 1915 Girls' Own Annual book. This is a lovely image here, gardening. And then these two little girls sitting on the stairs knitting. Is that wonderful? And that is from the Girls' Own Annual, which I try to show this as often as I can because it's so impressive. that you get to have a piece of this history in your journals. That's a 1950s Theater Arts magazine page, and there's the rest of that Billboard magazine page. Pearl Shop Antiques, or sorry, Pearl Shop receipt, and there's an early 1900s Watchman's clock dial face. They've been very, very popular. I don't know how many I will have at the end of the year, but I'm happy that they are being loved. This is a vintage canasta sheet, and this one actually had some scores in it, which I thought was awesome. I left it in there. Some people would throw that away because it had writing on it, but not me. I love it. This is all mounted on top of a vintage atlas page, and here's a really beautiful photograph of a young couple. Look at how tall this fella is, and they are playing croquet. Isn't that fun? And then I used the spine of the book for texture here. And here's a lovely little winter scene from a children's storybook. And here is that French almanac page, November 11th, which in Canada is Remembrance Day. And, oops, let me take that off now. And this is from that Paris French almanac. And on the flip side of that is November 12th. Another storybook page from a children's book, and this I just put on top because it was plain type. Another antique book page there for your journaling needs. And this is another one of those Billboard pages from 1928. It's not in the greatest of shape. I might actually put another one in here. This one got torn, so that'll be replaced with a better page. Sorry, they're so interesting, these ones here, so I do want you to have a better one. Probably got caught on some glue there. And ooh, I love this one. I really did a number on the glue here. Here we go. This is a vintage bird book, and we've got the red-winged blackbird here and the Baltimore Oriole here. That's a really good one. And then I've just made some secret journaling spots here and here. And underneath this vintage doily is a French pocket made out of a French dictionary page, and I put in a 1920s poem. Isn't that wonderful? You know, they're really pretty poems, one on each side. Just some old upholstery fabric and old lace. Some fun lace there. A 1920s music sheet, a children's craft book page, and this is one of those cross-stitched upholstery seats that never got attached to the chair that they were made for, but I think they're just fun to have. I love things with texture, and this is just another book cover. Century of Conflict book jacket, and there are some pockets here for you to add your own things to. Okay, I filled that one. You can add this one. And I think we are near the end. Another vintage stamp up here. And that is that guy. So, oh, I forgot to mention, see this little thing here? That is a cash register button from, this one is 2 cents. Yeah, from the very early 1900s. So I thought that was appropriate for a finance book. So it's on Etsy, etsy.com/shop/hyperstamper. And don't forget to subscribe. Talk to you soon.